Meteorologist Casey Cloud live with you here on this Tuesday afternoon to give you an update on a severe weather situation toward Tallahassee and toward Leon County right now in the Big Bend of Florida. You see, we do have some shower and thunderstorm activity right now, really causing some issues here out on the roads. You just got to really be careful out there because of all this rain here coming on down pretty quickly there in toward this area. You can see some very heavy rain as I look here right now toward US 319, the south side of Tallahassee especially getting impacted, but even over further up here toward US 27, they're getting into some of this as well, so just got to be kind of mindful of that. Mainly south of the Interstate 10 corridor, a little bit of I-10 included in the warning as we look further on up, but the severe thunderstorm warning issued at 2:44 here for northeastern Wakulla, west central Jefferson, and southeastern Leon counties until 3:30. At 2:43, a severe thunderstorm is located near Florida A&M, moving east at 25 miles an hour. Tallahassee, Woodville, Florida State University, Florida A&M, Doak Campbell Stadium, Lake Bradford, Relford, Greenway, Cody, Leon Saints, Gaither Community Center, Lake Munson, over toward Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Walker Ford Community Center, South City, 8 Mile Pond, the Callan neighborhood there, Tallahassee Airport, State Capitol Complex, and Governor's Square Mall. So just checking some of the latest right now here in the Weather Center. I'm going to go ahead and see how many power outages we have in the city of Tallahassee. I know that was helpful here the other day to kind of give us an idea of what was going on. We had many thousand at one point in the dark then during our event there late last week that we were covering, I mean, hour after hour. Hopefully it doesn't last that long today, but there's a marginal risk from this area further off toward the east. Let me see you guys that real quickly. Included Tallahassee, expanded that earlier on. I know we were talking about this yesterday. We thought it might kind of be more off toward the west here, and we've seen that with the marginal risk being expanded that way in some of the more recent updates per se. So looking toward Tallahassee right now, nothing like what we had last week, but still 1,923 customers in the dark, and that number could go up on us here as this sits across town again. Not getting into this several thousand, many thousand. I mean, we're talking about close to 10,000 at one point. This time a little less than 2,000 so far, but that could go up here. I mean, it could be going up as we're speaking. I don't see the indications quite as clear as we've seen in some of these other severe storms recently, and not near as clear as what we had there with that signature just popping on out at us here. But that was, I think, last Thursday. But still a situation we don't want to let our guard down. It's we're such a highly populated area. Many people at work right now, but some folks could be getting out of school here even. So you got to keep that in mind as we're looking right now toward Leon County. Okay, around Woodville, it looks like it's starting to become a little clearer now. The last couple of scans you see here as it kind of gets away from the radar beam, we're seeing winds closer to 55 miles an hour, so a little more serious toward Woodville. Not right in Tallahassee, though, obviously. That's a little more rural out there. Been out there before, and you can see, I mean, as it kind of looks better than go back and forth, scrub between, it's obviously a lot more rural, but there are a few things out there as you kind of look there. As you kind of look in that area, looking down, it looks like State Road 363, so again, trying to give you guys the very latest on what's going on. Again, there's that broad perspective right now to try to give you everything you need to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your family. So, again, just trying to give you guys the latest. I know, ignore that reading down in South Florida if you happen to see that really high temperature number. That's just an anomaly that's not actually happening. But again, you see in toward our area. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. I'll go ahead and zoom in here toward North Florida and South Jersey. You see 80s and 90s on the board here. 90 toward Keystone and North Central Florida. 90 in Lake City. But out toward like Gadsden County, it's cooled down because we've gotten some rain here. I know we had that yesterday toward the Stark area within our 62 counties and the cities within those. We got a lot cooler after the rain was really coming on through here, and we're seeing that toward Tallahassee. But yeah, stronger signature now developing as we're getting toward the Woodville area right now. So that's something to kind of touch on here, I think. That's a little more rural out there, obviously. Not right into town. It could have got kind of strong over town. We wouldn't be able to see it. Let me go ahead and check some more information here and see what we have in terms of our wind readings. See if we got anything at the airport there a little while ago. 20 So that's not, and I'll bet it's up a little bit more, 24. So yeah, you saw that one signature there west of Woodville, then it kind of came together. It seems like, I mean, we could be just getting the obstruction here, but it seems like worst of this may be closer to Woodville, honestly, even though we have the threat into toward Tallahassee, and FSU is technically under this warning here, up toward Oak Campbell, but again, a situation we just have to keep looking here. You can kind of see the yellow line. It just barely includes the FSU area per se, but we do have lightning in the region, so whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors nonetheless. So just got to be kind of careful here. Got to be kind of careful. But yeah, Woodville, it looks like maybe getting hit harder than downtown Tallahassee at this point. So you can see here, looking back at some of the scans, it really started to become a little clearer there at about 2:54, about the time we were trying to get here on the air with you guys and coming on the air with you guys. So you can see that's still hanging around. Could get some damage. I'm getting winds to 58. Some of these pixels here just east of Woodville, winds to about 50 miles an hour. That's severe criteria. I know 60 is what you hear, but actually it's because they just round on up on that. 58 is what that technically is for a severe thunderstorm. So, and that's when you start getting more damage here and things like that. So, let me check Talquin here, see if they have some outages. I'd be curious to see that because there's a chance that there could be some outages on that grid. I know we're starting to get a little bit later on into toward that summertime period. We don't expect maybe these storms to go severe as often, but we still have the heat here hanging around. Hopefully we start to get this pattern to relent soon. We had it relent for a little bit after the storm, Idalia, but now we're kind of back in it for now. Okay, Talcon, only 35 customers in the dark. That's good, but I know these summertime storms can be kind of annoying here. They disrupt your day. You don't really maybe see them coming here as easy because things we don't want to talk about it too much because it happens every day and it's going to be in one neighborhood one day, one the next, unless it's like a big tornado threat or something. I mean, and points here or a big squall line type of threat. I mean, those aren't really going to happen as much in the summertime, so we don't want to make a big deal about that here. We don't, I mean, at points, I mean, it just becomes a routine, honestly, and I just have to deal with them. But sometimes they can do damage. They did damage, and I know last Thursday toward parts there of the Tallahassee area, causing some problems there. And then, I mean, just thinking back as well, I mean, even yesterday we had some damage toward Jacksonville. So far I haven't had any damage reports, but we've had some reports of power outages here toward Leon County. So again, just going to continue to check here on the very latest, see what we kind of get on in here. Let me see if City of Tallahassee power outage number that they're going up any 1,100, or excuse me, 1,992 customers in the dark now. So that's kind of the storyline there. Again, just trying to let you guys know what's going on. So right around Woodville, yeah, that's really kind of clear there. 59-mile-an-hour winds at only 400 feet. That could be doing a lot of damage here. That could be doing a lot of damage as we're looking toward that area. Okay, that latest scan was a little weaker. It's not that populated. Not like it's right in Tallahassee, like what we saw last week. And it's a little weaker than what we saw as well with that signature. But still, this is definitely a signature that indicates the damage potential is there. So you got to be kind of mindful. We got to be kind of mindful of that as we continue to look at things, continue to track them here in the Weather Center. We're just trying to give you guys the very latest to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your family. So, again, let's go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. I know I have some stuff out toward the west. We'll have to watch that storm in Calhoun County, see if it goes severe in the next little bit as it moves into toward Liberty. I mean, it's be more rural out in Liberty, but still, have to continue to track things here in the Weather Center as we try to give you guys the very latest here on what's going on. So right now, most of the areas stand pretty clear of storms, but you see the marginal risk, it goes further and over. I know our high-res model had indicated a threat more further off toward the west here, though, for a while. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. We'll have to see if things end up ultimately developing further off. I do see a heavy downpour developing between Keystone and Gainesville right now, it looks like. But again, just watching the radar, we just got an update from the Weather Service in excuse me, the weather service in Tallahassee at 3:04. Severe thunderstorm is located 7 miles east of FAMU and went east at about 30 miles an hour. Talking about Tallahassee, Woodville, Florida State University, Florida A&M, Doak Campbell Stadium, Lake Bradford, Relford Greenway, Cody, Leon Saints, Gaither Community Center, Lake Munson, Walker Ford Community Center, South City, 8 Mile Pond, the Callan neighborhood, the State Capitol Complex, Governor Square Mall, Natural Bridge, and Spring Sacks Park onto this. So again, I think the worst is more toward Woodville itself. I think you're just trying to be on the safe side. Granted, you can still have people get struck by lightning anywhere when there's that lightning around that's been outside of the warning, and you can still have winds maybe 40, 50 further on up, but I think the damaging potential is still more toward Woodville. Doesn't mean a tree couldn't fall further into word town that's vulnerable. It definitely could. You still got to be really careful sending me out and about, but in the word this warning area, I'm just looking at things and seeing that the overall threat looks like it's a little bit worse down toward the Woodville area. Again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here. Let me go ahead and keep looking. Okay, the latest pixels are showing winds about 55 east of Woodville. You can kind of see the back it up there, how it kind of peaked on us at that time we came on there, and for a few moments after around Woodville. So if there's some trees that are knocked down, and like I would think it'd be around Woodville, I can't guarantee it because we do have that radar kind of obstruction here a little bit, so that can play a role. But it looks like the latest key is a little weaker again, so that's good. On our velocity, we look for the brighter reds here in this case mainly. I mean, it's kind of how you're looking at things overall. So again, we're going to just keep looking at things, keep tracking them here in the weather center. So again, I'm just trying to give you guys the very latest on what's happening. I know some folks here, especially out toward the east of this, are still recovering from Idalia, so they don't want to have to deal with this, but might end up having to be impacted here as we're looking further downstream. So that's something to kind of keep our eyes on here this afternoon. Let me go ahead and take a look here at some of our model guidance. Let me see if I can get that loaded on in here. Bear with me. I'm going to check a couple things first. So I just want to check here. I want to go ahead and check to see something within our SPC information. I want to zoom out real quick and see there's a little bit of a tornado risk up toward the northeast today. And are watching, of course, we're still watching Hurricane Lee. That's a big threat for areas there as we're looking toward Canada and then maybe toward Maine. We'll see. It'll be kind of weakening on down, but expanding its wind field as it gets further on up. So it's something they got to really watch because big coastal impacts. I mean, you're going to have to really pay attention. There's still some uncertainty, and we'll get more into that here as we look ahead. But again, there's our current warning. There is a lightning here. Let me just go ahead and make sure our model is loaded to the best point here. So let's start it off with what we're supposed to be having at about the 3 o'clock hour. So I'll put in our whole area view. So yeah, it's showing some of the stuff to the west, maybe not some of the other convection, no, but it is showing that area pretty well, decently well. A little bit behind, but you can kind of see how it's showing the stuff toward the Big Bend. This is around 5 o'clock here, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You see it kind of fade there in the modeling, so we'll kind of continue to watch things, and I'll go ahead and scrub back a little bit. I know it's a little bit awkward to do this, but kind of helpful here. Again, that's supposed to be around 4 o'clock, so if that's some of the most dominant stuff, then maybe we won't have as many warnings today, but you just never know in this type of pattern. Thankfully, we'll start to get out of this as we look ahead, but not yet, but it is about mid-September, so there's not that much more time that you're going to be left in this random severe pattern. I mean, it's kind of hung around for a bit here with these hot conditions here in play, but again, we'll be kind of watching and tracking here. Let me go ahead and keep looking at things here. I know we will be seeing some of those lows in toward the 60s here. I mean, we had them here where we're at, but started to have those a little more widespread again as we look ahead. Maybe not tonight or tomorrow night, but as we look ahead there, maybe Friday night, Saturday night, you're starting to see a little bit cooler try to work its way on in here. Not by that much, but a little bit. Hopefully we can start to suppress some of this activity. Not a given here, but we'll continue to watch things, continue to track them. But again, Still watching this severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Jefferson, Leon, and Wakulla. Not Crawfordville, though. You're not into this in Crawfordville, so don't get me wrong. I mean, you still are hearing some of that thunder whenever thunder roars go indoors, but overall, the worst of the threat is toward the north of you guys in Crawfordville, so that's some good news. The latest scan showing one's a 40, maybe 50, actually, just on the edge of this warning in northeastern Wakulla, but not in Crawfordville there, so that's the good news. As we continue to look, continue to give you guys the very latest, and there's now significant weather advisory up toward parts of Decatur and Seminole counties here. That's just coming into the weather center. Some of this stuff coming on into our area here out of the Washington, Houston, Jackson County vicinity. So again, just continuing to track here though. This is a big thunderstorm warning. Technically still in effect till 3:30. Again, the pixels here showing the wind not quite as strong maybe as they were earlier on, which is good news, but we're kind of in an odd spot still, so don't lay your guard down here. They issued this without seeing a whole bunch here, some on the south side of that radar beam per se. But again, let's check the power outages in Leon here, see what we're kind of down with. Just want to make sure we're kind of on here for a bit while this was getting to Tallahassee. I don't think there's going to be a lot of damage, but there's going to be some. There's going to be some here. I mean, scattered in a few spots and then isolated maybe in a few spots. But again, City of Tallahassee now, their electric grid showing 2,521 customers in the dark right now, so it has gone up a little bit. Let's look here at Talquin. I mean, look at their numbers here if I can. Talquin will update their map. 34 customers in the dark right now. That's the storyline there at this point in time. No, some of this is still the aftermath of the storm, but still some customers in the dark noted in Taylor County on some of our maps. Some of this could just be things getting re-aggravated as well, though. About 509 customers out in Taylor County here at this point. So I know I don't know exactly. I mean, at points you could have had that fluctuate a little bit. So it could just have like a thunderstorm come over an area that got fixed, and then things, the vulnerabilities maybe kind of get exploited a little, and then have to be fixed again. But I know we had, and toward the dark area yesterday, a bunch of that lightning, or pretty dangerous lightning, was the story. So you just gotta remember whenever thunder roars go indoors, it was very interesting here. I gotta wonder if we're hearing that around Tallahassee as well, because I know yesterday in the pattern we had it really unusually active here for what we actually had. We didn't have a severe storm or even really a strong storm necessarily on stalking it. Some of that thunder there, I mean, it caused the power to flicker. The lightning did multiple times, which is kind of unusual the way it was setting on up. It could have just been an isolated thing, but I have a feeling based on some other just media reports that we had that lightning a little more active, and seeing how little stars were even getting lightning out of them. I mean, they were pretty small in space there, even though you started to get some downpours. You were getting them kind of a little bit easier to develop those strikes there in that pattern as we were looking back. So gotta be careful, gotta be mindful here. Let's go ahead and keep looking at things as we go back over to our other view. Let's pull up our supercell composite. We're not really seeing that. We saw that yesterday here, a bunch of those, the higher numbers for this time of year come on the board now. STP not getting that. The energy is here though. Energy values are pretty similar, if not even a little higher in some cases than yesterday, but we're not getting some of the other characteristics at least, so maybe not quite as high of a severe threat today here as we saw yesterday. We're not getting much in the way of supercell composite. We got a pretty good bit again yesterday. That's indicative of some of the different parameters available for storm development here and storm growth and storm just the way they kind of set up there on you. But again, looking here at our infrared satellite, you can see there's some of the cloud tops. Again, continuing to watch here, trying to give you guys the latest updates on what's going on. Let me zoom back on into Ward Tallahassee right now on the Doppler radar. Again, you can see technically Tallahassee's under this downtown. It seems like there's still lightning hanging around, so be careful with the lightning. Not really all clear yet because of that lightning, but heavier downpours are kind of fading. And we just got a new warning in the east a little bit quicker than maybe I would have expected, because wasn't seeing a whole bunch with this, but they have now issued a new severe thunderstorm warning to form, maybe because of the damage still in the aftermath of Vidalia. They wanted to err on the side of caution to the National Weather Service in Tallahassee. So that's what they've done. Issued a new warning for portions of Jefferson, Leon, Madison, Taylor, and McCullough till 4 o'clock. There it is. There's your new warning just popping on up here. Northeastern McCullough, southwestern Jefferson, northwestern Taylor, southeastern Leon, southwestern Madison. So we do have a little bit of Tallahassee in there, and a new warning, not really downtown, but then you have Appalachia Regional Park, Cody Goose Pasture, over toward, it looks like Lamont, Osceola, even over toward Thomas City. You have Wakena, Wassissa Springs. So again, just something to kind of keep in mind here. You can see that wind. It's a pretty rural area. I know Monticello got hit hard by the storm going back here a couple weeks. Some of these areas would have likely got hit pretty hard here as well. In the word this overall setup here, especially as you get further off toward the east. I mean, we had the issues in Tallahassee, but even more so off toward the east here in the overall pattern here with power outages, trees down, and the like. So, again, just continuing to watch your things as you look towards some of the different neighborhoods. It's pretty rural out here, to be quite honest, and I'm not overly concerned with the signatures that I'm seeing here. So we're going to kind of play it by ear. I know these folks did get hit more by the storm, even more so further east. But so we got to kind of, I'll keep it here at least a few more minutes. But if I don't see much more of a signature here on this, I think I'll wrap it up for a while. We'll come back if and as needed. Of course, we'll have a full update later tonight. These are not tornado warnings, so we don't have to stay on here wall to wall or anything like that. We just generally like to hear when we see a little more concern, and toward Tallahassee, toward the way the signature is looking too around Woodville, we're seeing that. But now a little bit more of it is isolated damage in wind threat. I would say winds about 40 showing up in many of these areas here. I see a few pixels to 45, 49 miles an hour. I think about the highest we're going here. So 58 severe. I mean, there's some areas that are maybe if a tree is leaning, I mean, this wind could knock it over, though, obviously. If something got damaged by Idalia down here, which stuff did, Wassissa there, Lamont, Wakena, got to be careful here in Jefferson County, no doubt. I mean, even more so to the east, where we had more damage. But again, I just keep that in mind. I'm not trying to downplay it here, and that it's pretty rural, but it's just, I mean, it's a situation here where we don't have a really high signature, but still, again, you contrast that with the fact that we did have the hurricane come across 13 days ago now, and that's something that we still have to bear in mind here. It's going to be something we talk about. I mean, folks out toward the west now, this wasn't Michael, but folks still talk about the vulnerabilities there. I still talk about in our western counties how some of these areas are still vulnerable a little bit more because of what happened with Michael. This wasn't Michael, but still a big deal, historic storm for this part of our covered area. So still got to talk about it here for a while as we continue to look. So again, just looking here, I see on YouTube here, Lisa's saying that Northeast Tallahassee only seeing rain and light at the moment. Yeah, I think that's probably the case up that way. I mean, north of I-10, we're not really seeing it all that significant here. That's the good news. Still got to be careful whenever thunder roars, obviously going towards that the general kind of general level there. The conversation per se, but also looking, I see on Twitch we got a comment here. Looks like what can you do to stay safe here? So in that type of situation, like this one here, you just want to be, and let me pull the tips up again. I haven't had those up in a few minutes. I'll pull up our tips here in the corner again. Severe thunderstorm tips. So really, just whenever thunder roars, that applies to all thunderstorms. Go indoors, but then really want to make sure when you have a severe thunderstorm, you have those damaging winds that could be in excess of 58 miles an hour. You want to seek shelter inside a sturdy building and stay away from those windows. I mean, that stuff can apply to a thunderstorm, but a severe thunderstorm is when you could have some damage. Of course, if you're in a mobile home, it's a situation where, well, you really want to try to be as careful as possible. It's not a tornado situation, so you don't have to necessarily evacuate or anything like that, but still, you want to be maybe in the centermost part of it, something like that. I mean, I know you still have some vulnerabilities and the like, of course, and And this applies to homes or mobile homes. If you have trees there near your home, it might be something more that you just need to be thinking about in the future. Even we've seen that with the storm system. We got really lucky here with the trees during the storm, at least, as we were looking at things. During the storm, not really having people impacted by them, but that those have turned deadly in our area before, and that's just always a threat that we have to deal with here from time to time. So it's best if you can avoid having trees by your home or mobile home, to be quite honest, that could fall on it there in these inclement conditions. But that's not something you can do now, but that's just something for planning purposes. Really, you want to try not to have those because that those are, I mean, really, I saw it last week here, and I'm gonna go over more later on in the timeline. But I mean, I noticed that the homes that didn't really have the trees around them, well, they had some damage. But I mean, if you have a tree around your home or mobile home, looking at damage west in from Medallia last week, I'm talking about when I looked last week for the damage from the week before. But I saw a situation where those homes that had those trees around, you had some of them falling in the yard, causing power issues, and then some of them actually falling on them. Many of my saw actually kind of got lucky in that they missed the worst of the damage potential. It didn't go right in the middle or something, the tree, but still, a situation is something to keep in mind, and something to be mindful of here for sure. But again, I'm looking at this, just those tips. So in general, that's what you want to do right now. If you're in toward these yellow boxes, especially the newest one off toward the east here, getting a little bit more wind now, showing up 48, 49 miles an hour, moving toward to watch this area, getting pretty rural out here. This is an area that honestly sometimes they wouldn't really stick on with, and we may not here, depending on the trends. But I know we still had the vulnerabilities here because of Idalia. And then we're gonna still have those for a while, so gotta keep tabs on that here. Let's go ahead and keep looking at some things here in the weather center. I'd always get concerned with the lightning here around. I know sometimes the situation here. To be quite honest, with the lightning, that folks riding about trying to get to class and the like, and you could always have a tragedy happen there at any of the campuses, whether it's, college or even primary or secondary schools, private schools. You could have that issue in play. I'm talking about elementary, middle, high school for primary, secondary. But again, so that electrical energy around, I know we're getting a little bit later in the day for those, but that electrical energy, it doesn't even take a warning. It might catch you up guard more so without a warning even. And we're not going to be on when we don't have warnings here. So you just got to remember whenever that thunder roars, you got to be careful because we've seen it before. And just don't want to have any tragedy to happen. I know, just kind of thinking back at some different things here. Just looking back here at some information. I know, graduated from FSU and just kind of wanting to be really cautious here when we have these type of situations. Even, again, you don't actually have maybe a scenario where you have a warnings in play. You just gotta be kind of careful here. To be kind of careful here for sure. So again, I'm just kind of looking through some stuff. Bear with me here. Just kind of looking through some of the information that we have here in the weather center, and I'm just gonna kind of look at some details. I know we've had issues with flash flooding before. I know going back to Ord FSC, we had a tragedy happen about 2 decades ago or so with that. So I just got to be really careful. We're not going to have that here more than likely. We don't have that much rain, but still, I just always got to be careful. Always got to keep weather safety here on play. Just got to always think about that here. So you just have to always be really on the top of your game in terms of that. So again, just keeping an eye here. We're looking south of I-10 right now. Again, tracking all this. Some of this electrical energy. Again, the warning, the newest window 4. Really, at this point, the worst of the severe properties are out of the area further back toward Woodville and Tallahassee. They pretty much all entered in the new box here. Again, seeing 40, 49 mile an hour winds showing up on the Doppler's velocity scan here at this point. So again, we'll watch that. This threat's going to keep translating across parts of Taylor and Madison later on. Those counties, honestly, it may miss out on Perry, the worst of this at this point. So kind of splitting the difference between the highest population areas. So that's the good news, but those are areas that are no more vulnerable because of what we had happen with Idalia there. So still got to be careful. Looking back toward the west, we have some more storms there around Mariana and the like. Gust to 23 just now around Donaldsonville. We'll watch some of the stuff coming on in the picture out here. I know, let me take up our precautions, but again, when we're doing the other storms, I don't want to leave that up and confuse folks because we don't have warnings anywhere but the two yellow boxes that are on the screen. But again, continuing to watch, continuing to track here. You can see the temperatures, a lot of 90s on the board. That's still in Jackson County. Might be an issue towards Seminole County. We're starting to get a little bit of a signature for some growth on that, possibly. So that's not overwhelming there, that signature. But still, just got to be kind of careful. Got to be kind of mindful here. We have the marginal risk of severe weather here in Kauai as we're looking. So may not be done, though. I think the threat's going to be lower than we had yesterday. So that's the good news, and then obviously lower than what we had last Thursday. That really stood out. We had such kind of in between, more random last Friday. It was really random, on and off, on and off. It was very odd what we had last Friday around. So again, looking there right now, Leon County, again, city of Tallahassee. Looking there, we have 2,627 customers in the dark. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. There at this point. Let me go ahead and check here. That went up a little bit more. Let's check Talquin now. Let's see what they got. 76 customers in the dark. So, yes, some damage could have happened here, but nothing just really overwhelming. So, let's check velocity again here under that one warning further into where Tallahassee is about to go away. As this translates again further off toward the east, as we've already seen, really over the last little bit. Seeing winds at 40, 45 miles an hour, so on velocity, maybe 47 there, crossing over State Road 59 into where Jefferson County. So be careful out there. Keep it tuned to cloud weather. We'll be back here if and as needed through the day here whenever there's that severe weather situation here that is really causing some concern. We're watching that other area coming in Georgia from the Alabama and Florida region as well, and we'll watch to see if we have some stuff. I know we have some stuff east of Tipton, some lightning there around Fitzgerald. Again, wherever thunder roars going toward a little bit of lightning west of Camilla. So just to be kind of careful here as we're looking at things. Not too much right now in North Central Florida, though. And even though we have the marginal risk, we could get something severe. The models hadn't really shown as much over to the east, to be quite honest here. So that's why I was kind of talking about the western areas last night and some of our coverage here. I do believe I had noted that here, just at least looking at stuff, and I think I kind of talked about that for a bit. But again, just looking here. You can see the different platforms that we're on. Facebook, Casey, Cloud WX, Cloud Weather. We have Twitter at Cloud Casey. That's also called the X platform now. And then if we need to, we'll just post alerts over there. We don't think we need to come on from new alerts. But if we need to come on, we'll be on those sources of the live stream. And then also YouTube at Cloud Weather. Make sure if you haven't already subscribed over there, hit that subscribe button. That's free. Enable the notifications. Twitter, Cloud Weather, we're on there. Clutter.com, and this stuff's all free, and we'll have a full update here later tonight, another forecast update. Try to go over some more photos here as time permits on Idalia. We'll talk about Lee there, obviously. That could be a threat toward New England here, the area up that way. I know there's a tropical storm watch, I do believe, toward Bermuda now in play because of Lee. So, again, we're just going to keep looking there. We're going to keep looking there here. And have to watch toward Maine, some of those states in the New England region here, per se. So, again, something to kind of be mindful of in that regard. Rip currents, high surf in the water area, even though it's going to be it's several hundred miles away, many hundreds of miles away. But let's go ahead and put up infrared satellite real quick so you can kind of see. There's a hurricane out there, and you can kind of see our models here. they're in a little bit more agreement now. Sometimes you have these systems here like this that are a little bit starting to become more extratropical, and the model's starting to agree. Seems like these have, at least, I don't know about Euro. I haven't had a chance to look at that here in the latest run, but it had been a little more west earlier on. But these have gotten in more agreement. That still have an impact on me. Probably get some tropical storm alerts at least in the ward. I know it'd be extratropical, but I did it with Sandy. Uh, or back that up. They wanted to do it with Sandy, but they couldn't. But they changed the rules after that. So a situation here where if they changed rules now, which they have, they'll be able to issue some tropical storm alerts, maybe, but the tropical storm conditions toward Maine and toward Nantucket, and maybe even Boston and Portland, depending on how big this wind field gets out here. That might be something to kind of keep in mind here. Bear in mind, I mean, that wind field could be big enough where just looking, I mean, we're talking about tropical force wind 240 miles west of the center. So this makes landfall in Canada. Just measuring it out, that definitely could get into where some of these areas, even around Boston. So something to kind of keep in mind here. We'll have to watch that from the national standpoint here. Some coastal conditions could get really rough there as that center's closer by a good ways to the east coast, further on up than it would be to the southeast. I mean, southeast really just a higher up current threat and the higher surf. But in the northeast, we could actually have some real problems here with beach erosion and maybe even more than that as details become a little bit clearer. Could have even some storm surge, I would say. Wouldn't be out of the question there, depending on the ultimate angle there with the winds and the like. So there's your severe thunderstorm warning, the latest and the current one that's in effect out toward Jefferson County there. Again, we're checking velocities here. We're checking velocities. And I know we're looking up towards Seminole and Jackson counties. We don't have as much maybe up there right now. We have winds about 45 showing up in this. Still could aggravate things with the aftermath of Hurricane Idalia, but that's going to go ahead, and I know we keep saying that here from time to time, but just want to make sure I'm crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's here to make sure that we can wrap it up. Here, and that's what we're going to do for now. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. We'll be back as necessary.